Now in this video we're going to work on displaying messages that are going to help to direct the player. Okay, they're going to give valuable information as the player progresses along, and it's going to give them an objective. So let's just find the first person player, and then we can get roughly to where we start. Now the first message I'm planning on having just behind the lighthouse, so just around here. So, okay, I might have to zoom out a bit so that I can actually get there. So when the player walks through this section, a message is going to appear. Okay, so to do that, we're going to put a trigger cube that the player has to walk through. So let's go to Game Object, 3D Object and Cube. And let's just make sure that this is in the correct location. So I'm just going to scale this up so it's pretty big. And that's the correct location. Okay, so I'm just going to move it into place. The player has to walk along this path. So now I can scale this up and across. I don't need it to be that thick, to be honest. It could just be like this. But the player has to walk through this section. Okay, we don't need a mesh renderer, so we can remove that component. We're only interested in this box collider, which we can now set to a trigger. Okay, so I'm going to call this one message trigger 1. Okay, this appeared right down at the bottom here, which is great, and this is going to activate a message that we're going to place onto the canvas. So if I can now click on the canvas and go back to 2D mode, let's just double click so that we can zoom out. We're now going to create a message on this screen. So I like to have the game tab on the right and the message on the left so that we can view both together. So I can actually get a little bit closer on this one and see what it looks like on this view. Alright, so we're going to right click on Canvas, UI, and we need a new panel. And we will call this one, we'll call it Message Panel. I don't think we've used that yet. Message Panel. Great, and the alpha we're just going to drag right down to 0. Okay, and it's not a raycast target. Simply so that we can switch the message panel on or off. Okay, now we need another panel inside of it. Okay, and I will call this one BG panel, as in like background. Okay, now I definitely don't want it to be that big, so I'm actually just going to move these elements in. Now then, that's actually moving the anchor there, so I don't want to do that. There we go. Okay, just want to kind of get this in place. I think that's pretty good shape. Okay, and now I want to change the color of it because I'm not too happy with the color. So I want to make it sort of this sort of color. This is not bad, sort of a burgundy type color, and I want to reduce the alpha a bit so you can still see the background. So something like this should be pretty good. So about 29 on the alpha, and that's the hexadecimal code for this color. Okay, great. Now on the message panel again, we're going to right click UI and we're going to put in some text, and let's just drag the text up to the top left corner of this panel, and then using the rect tool we can then fill this out so that it sort of fills roughly to about there. We're going to leave space for a little button at the bottom there. Great, so with the text we're going to ensure that that is centered. And the font size, well actually let's change the colour first to a sort of a bright white so that we can see it. The font size, let's just drag this up a bit, so maybe about 25 I think should be good if I can get it. There we go. Okay, great. So now for the message itself. So let's just say you have been swimming for the last 2 days. You are hungry. Press I to open the inventory. To check your health. I'm going to press enter a couple of times. Find food to replenish your health. But beware, the maniacs are patrolling the island. Exclamation mark. Couple of enters, and we will say search the island. Search the island to find where they have hidden your girlfriend. Okay, so that's the message as it appears on the screen there, a little bit small. Let's just dock this back. So that's good enough to read there, I think, and it gives some key information there. So press I to open the inventory, find food to replenish your health, beware there are maniacs, and it gives this main objective, which is to find where they have hidden your girlfriend. Okay, so now we need a button to be able to switch this off as well. So we're just going to click on message panel, UI, and we're going to put in a button. Let's just drag this button to the bottom here. Now it doesn't look centered there, that's really unusual. Let's just try and center it up a little bit. Yep, and under the button we've also got text. This time we're going to keep this text and we're just going to say OK to that. Obviously you can see that there, OK. I think the colour of that and the size are both perfectly fine, and let's do something with this button. Okay, so at the moment it's a white colour or a normal colour, which I think is perfectly fine. The highlighted colour, I'm probably going to make this maybe a blue, so sort of a bright blue. And in fact, if I just copy this hexadecimal code, so Control C to copy, I can actually paste that into the other sections as well, so on the selected and the pressed. And when we write our code, we are going to obviously get the message to disappear whenever we click on this button. Now, color tint is one of the options that you have for the transition, but you also get things like a sprite swap, so you can change it for a different button, or you could even animate the button if you want. I'm quite happy to keep color tint at the moment.